Hey friends, welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm going to be sharing my tips for moving, but also tips for when you find yourself in a really busy season. So some of you might need some moving advice, so this will be a good episode, but also if you just find yourself in a particularly busy season, I'm going to talk about what has been helpful and just some encouragement and motivation for those busy times that we just tend to find ourselves in often. I feel like you just kind of move from one busy season to another. So what are some things we can do when you're maybe in an unusual season of busy? All right, so we're going to jump straight into that. I am going to share some updates on us, some things that are happening, why we are so busy this month, June. June is only half over, my friends, and it feels like June has been 3 months long. This is going to go down in history as the longest month ever. All right. So I do have a couple of quick announcements first. First announcement for you is that we have our online summer camps for kids starting on Monday, June 17th. Had to think through the dates. So I think that when this episode goes live. All right. So we are starting. We have a series of 6 online summer camps for kids. And the first one is kicking off this week, Cooking School for Kids. So it's gonna be a really fun little cooking school. It's gonna run Monday through Friday, which once each lesson goes live, you can watch it whenever. So if you're listening to this in August, you can still dive into the app and start watching Cooking School for Kids. And in fact, I've actually heard from a lot of homeschool families who say they're going to use these on these summer camps throughout the school year, which I think is a really good idea too. So kind of no matter what your schedule is, you could work through these on Saturdays. You could work through really at your own pace. You don't have to follow our pace, although it will be fun to do it along live. So we've got Cooking School for Kids. And then the last week of June, we have Baking School for Kids. That's going to be really fun. July, we have 2 more summer camps coming. We have got, let me see if I can remember the schedule in my brain. We have got nature journaling. That one's going to be really fun. And then Growing a Garden. I don't remember which order those are in, but those are going to be super hands-on, really, really fun classes. Then in August, I'm having a baby in August. Jason is going to be teaching 2 summer camps. He's going to be teaching creative writing and filmmaking. Those ones are going to be so much fun. So the deal is all of these summer camps are hosted on our Joyful Home app/website. You can download the app or just access it on the website. And you can just get full access with your subscription. The reason we really wanted to do this, the reason why I've gotten so passionate about these summer schools these summer camps is because I've been seeing some really cool looking summer camps, and I'm sure they're worth the money out there, online ones that are $300 to $400 a person. And right now, even $50 a kid. We've got 7 kids, 5 of whom really would be old enough to do the summer camps. But with 5 kids, even like $50 a kid is just for one camp, right? It's just out of our budget right now. And so we really, really decided that it would be amazing to be able to throw together some amazing summer camps and have them be a family pass, and it's less than $11 a month. And you can cancel at any time. So you could just sign up for June. In fact, if you signed up today for $10.39 with coupon code SUMMERCAMP, you would be able to access Cooking School and Baking School, and then the first class we have for July, which is either gardening or it is the nature journaling. I think it's nature journaling, but I am deep in pregnancy brain, and unless it's right in front of me, I'm forgetting everything right now. But with that 1 month subscription of $10.39, all of your kids could attend all 3 of those online summer camps. Plus, we have hundreds of other resources. We've got audiobooks. Amazing things. So if you want to go check it out, go to findingjoyinyourhome.com/summercamp, findingjoyinyourhome.com/summercamp. And again, once each lesson is posted, it's just going to live on the app forever. So go check it out. Another important thing I do want to say, because this specific thing is something that you're going to, set the video up and let your kids watch and go through, is that these are not YouTube videos. These are not hosted on some other platform where they're going to get recommended videos. The things that are in our app and website are specifically and only on our safe app and website. This is only content that we have uploaded. It will never give a recommended video. It's not YouTube. They're not going to click around and all of a sudden be on some other account somewhere. It is a safe space. It's all family friendly. It's all our content. So if they click on to the next video, all they're just going to get is the next lesson for cooking school, or they're going to end up on baking school. That's the only stuff that's on there. So it's a safe platform that you can say, hey, here, watch this video and let me know if you have questions. So I just wanted to let you know that too, because I think that's a really big deal in today's internet world, right? Okay. I actually said I had a couple of announcements. I think that's my only very long announcement. So let's get to my tips. All right. So we are in a really busy month. Like I said, we are moving out of our house at the end of June. Lord willing, I'm going to have some recording time this week where I'm going to batch 4 to 6 podcast episodes with this nice blue background that you guys have come to know if you're watching on YouTube. I'm hoping to get those batched in the next week. And then after that, the new podcast episodes and videos that are going to come out are going to be from our RV. If I don't find the time, then you're only going to maybe see this background for another video or two. We'll see. It's really about how the next week and a half or so plans out. We'll see. Okay, let me back up. Pregnancy brain is taking on its own life today. In fact, I think when I get off this, I'm going to go take a nap. It's actually one of my tips we're going to talk about. So we're moving at the end of this month, the end of June. Last day in this rental house is June 30th. All right, we are having a baby August 22nd. That's when the C-section is scheduled for. So we are down to almost 9 weeks until we have the baby. So we're moving out the end of this month, and we are moving into a renovated, well, we're renovating it and we'll be renovating it in July. New to us RV. It's an older fifth wheel, and we are going to be doing some fixing up in it. We're doing wallpaper and painting and just doing some cosmetic stuff. If you guys are familiar with our story, in 2020, we sold our house in California, bought a really old camper that had water damage, a travel trailer that our van pulled, and we completely renovated that thing. We gutted it. We ended up taking out large portions of the kitchen, took out the entire master bedroom, redid the bathroom. I mean, we did so much stuff in that one. We took out a wall. Thankfully, we're not doing as much in this one. We're doing a lot of cosmetic stuff, but we are going to be, as of July 1st or the night of June 30th, I suppose, we're going to be moving into that RV full time, and we're actually really, really, really excited. This has been our plan. You can go back a few episodes and see where we shared our changing plans for this year. But we have been planning this for the last year or so. We have been planning that this would be our next step, but we were planning mid-September or so, end of September, so we could have the baby in this house, make it easy. We've got all our stuff, and then we can move straight into a fifth wheel. Well, then our friends said, hey, we're actually selling our fifth wheel. And we were like, oh, wait, what? Oh, and this is a really good deal. And they have 6 kids. And oh, this would fit us really well. And this would be amazing, but it's not the right timing yet. And, we know you want to sell it. Well, then 2 days after this conversation where we were like, oh, man, that would be such a good opportunity for us. 2 days later, I kid you not, 48 hours later, we hear from our landlord that he had changed his mind. Our lease was up in March. And originally we thought we were going to be able to go just month to month. So all we had to give is 45 days notice and then we can move out. Well, he had decided he didn't want the house open in the fall, which I understand, but it was still not fun news to hear at the time, that he either wanted us, he didn't want to do month to month. It was sign another year. Well, this lease is impossible to get out of. You would have to pay out the full contract. And so we really didn't want to do another year. And so we thought, okay, is this God showing us that there's this RV? And the landlord told us this, I think 3 days before the new lease needed to be signed. So we scrambled for 3 days and thought, okay, well, we need to figure this out. If we're doing the RV right now, maybe we move out right now, move into the RV, but then we're going to have the baby in the RV. Where are we going to stay this summer? Because we're not going to be traveling. What are we doing? And we had 3 days to figure this out. And we feel like there was still a ton of unknowns, but we felt like God was like, yes, this is it. Open the door. And so we did negotiate and say, hey, can we stay any longer, any time through the summer that you can let us stay longer would be better. So we finally negotiated. He said we can stay through the end of June, which has been a huge blessing. So we are now at that mark. We're going to be moving into the RV. We've started renovations, but we really haven't done a whole lot yet because this month has been cray-cray. It's been so crazy. So we had to go to a funeral in California. We haven't even been home for a month from that. So we're deep in packing, deep in renovations for the RV, trying to get things ready for baby. I'm 27-ish weeks pregnant. And so with all of that, there's just been a lot of moving pieces for June. And if you've ever moved, you know that moving has a lot of pieces to it. What you see right now is really nice. But 20 minutes ago, this was utter chaos sitting around here if you're watching on YouTube, because yesterday I packed up the majority of all of our office space. This is like the corner of our bedroom. Our bedroom's back over here. And I cleaned all of this is empty. All of this is empty. I mean, I went through everything and I've got piles of stuff I need Jason to go through, all his electronic stuff. I have books that he needs to sort for which ones do you want to take in the RV. And so right now I'm looking out at like a sea of chaos. Like the house right now feels crazy because when you're packing, it's just, I mean, we've got half empty boxes all over the house because I'm slowly putting stuff in. And if you want to be organized with the move too, it's just, it's a little crazy. And so this month has really tested me as far as mental capacity, emotional capacity. We have had some ups and downs this month for sure. We thought we had an RV spot totally secured. They had told us, yes, great. We were so thankful. They had a pool, they had a playground, they had like a lodge. We were feeling really thankful because if we're having a baby in the RV, we want to have some places that, Jason can go take the kids swimming during the day because an RV is small and you're having a baby in it. Well, we were like, God answered that prayer. We're in this RV park, our number one. And there's not a lot of options around here for RV parks that are going to be close enough to the hospital and close enough to our church. And so anyway, they said yes. We were waiting to pay the deposit. Finally got on the phone with them the next day to pay the deposit, get everything lined up. And they said, oh, you know what? We had it written down that you have 3 kids. And Jason's like, no. And she said, actually, we need manager approval. If you have 4 kids or more, we have to get manager approval. Lo and behold, they come back and say, you have too many kids. And that was really sad. And Jason said, I thought you were a family-friendly RV park. And they said, oh, we are. We love kids. We're super family-friendly. We're family-run. But they just didn't want monthly stays with kids. And, Jason's like, oh, but, our kids are super respectful. They always stay in our because, I understand. Kids can be crazy and kids can be destructive. And there are in RV parks, people will let their kids go run and destroy things. And that's not okay. So Jason's like, our kids are super respectful. And they were just like, no, we're so sorry. We have a small pool, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is no. And we were like, okay, all right, God has a different plan for us. So we kept looking for RV parks and everything just kept getting shut down and shut down and shut down. Finally found an RV park that we thought, oh, maybe this will work. And we went to it. It's in a not good area of the city, which is why I think it has so many openings compared to anywhere else. And we really just didn't feel like it was a safe place to be, especially with having a baby. We want to let our kids be able to play outside. And so we kind of were really back to the drawing board going, what? And this has all happened in June. And we're like, what are we going to do? Especially because these RV parks, nobody wanted to book monthly stays more than 4 weeks out. So we knew we were going to have to wait till June to scramble and figure this out. But it's been hard because we've known we were going to move since the end of February. So it's been a lot of like, hurry up and wait, which can really get on your patience, right? So long story short, it's already been long, right? We've gone back to the drawing board. We decided, what if we get a truck right now? We had decided we were not going to get a truck yet. Truck prices are still really insane, although they are coming down. And the summer's not a great time to buy a truck. So we thought, if we're going to be stationary for the summer anyway, then our friend is just going to tow the RV for us to the spot we're going to stay. We're going to stay there all summer till we have the baby. It gives us all summer to slowly figure out what kind of truck we want to get. Prices will hopefully come down more in the fall. We can just kind of, take a breather. Well, went back to the drawing board. We realized actually we don't need as heavy duty of a truck as we thought, which really puts us in a lower price range for trucks, which was a huge praise. And we ended up buying a truck. Now it's a very old truck. We're very thankful. It's got really, really good bones. We've already towed the RV with it once. We had to take it to the tag agency to get new registration put on it. It worked great. So we are feeling very thankful, which means we're going to be actually bouncing around RV parks a little bit more this summer than we were originally planning. But you don't need all the details. overall, it's going to be a much better plan. We're very, very thankful. We see God's hand in it. We see how this is the best plan for us now, but it's been so much up and down in June. So all of this chaos, kind of not knowing where, it's really hard when you don't know where your next step is going to be, right? You're like, oh Lord, if you just told me it was going to be okay, then I could have faith. Then I could trust. Well, it's not the way it works. God asks us to trust. We know that he is going to work something out, but it's hard when you're sitting in that unknown. When you're like, I don't know what our life is going to look like 3 weeks from now. Where are we going to be? And that can feel scary and it can feel overwhelming. We're all in the midst of packing. We have Jason's completely overwhelmed with work stuff. There's so much going on that there has been so many days of just one foot in front of the other. I'm feeling tired. I need to keep going. And so I really wanted to do this episode to give encouragement for those who are feeling, for whatever reason, whether it's moving, whether it's an overwhelming season, there's so many things that can land us there, sickness and a million different things, right? I want to give you encouragement that God is faithful. God is good. We can trust him even in the unknowns. We can trust him when our best laid plans fall through and we see where he was working behind the scenes. And we don't always see that. We don't always know this side of heaven too, why certain things happened or why they had to work out that way. But I really want to give encouragement and then some practical advice on what we can do. And this is coming from someone who does not have it all together. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And I have not responded the best this month. I've had to apologize to Jason. I've had to apologize to the kids. He's had to apologize. Emotions have been running high. Exhaustion has been running high. We got home from running errands this morning and I sat down and I was like, I don't want to. And Jason was like, you don't want to what? I don't want to do anything. And yet my schedule for today is very full. I have lots that I need to do. And that's just kind of been indicative of this entire month. But through that, I have to tell myself a lot of truth. And so that's kind of what this episode comes out of, is me telling myself truth again and again this month and doing some really practical things to help. So if you're listening to this and you have some ideas or things that have helped you, I would love to hear them. And I'm sure other people would love to hear them as well. This is not an exhaustive list. These are just the things that really came to mind that have been very helpful. And we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We've got 2 weeks left and then it's all going to be done. We just keep saying, we can't wait for July. We can't wait for July. We're all ready for regular routines. Like, we're going to restart school, try to get a good 6 weeks of school in before the baby comes. And we're like, everyone is ready for regular routines, slow down pace of life a little bit. We are all greatly looking forward to that. Okay, so I'm going to share a couple moving tips and then a couple tips for when you're in a busy season. All right, moving tip number 1. Make a plan. Make a plan. Planning's good. Make a plan. But then don't get discouraged in the process. And this is what I've been doing a little bit because there is so much to do and there's so much to get done that I have been making progress every day. I have been putting in good effort. I'm pregnant, so I have to sit down and put my feet up and take rest and all of that. And even after a full day worth of work, it's very easy to sit here and go, oh, but the laundry room's full of laundry and I didn't get that done and I didn't get this done. And so Jason and I have been really good at sitting down in the morning and saying, realistically, we haven't been good at it. We're getting better at it. Look at our list and say, realistically, what can we accomplish today? And then we're going to be happy with that. So the other day we had a plan that we were going to get the garage 100% done. We're going to go in and we're going to get the garage completely, fully finished packing and then get that into our storage unit. Get the, Jason needs to take a dump load. We're just going to get everything done. When we got in there, we didn't get in there till halfway through the day. By the time we got in there, it was 95 degrees outside. We were hot. And it was a lot more work than we thought. There was a lot more sorting and trying to decide what's coming with us in the RV, what are we throwing away, what's long-term storage, what's going to Goodwill. And it just took longer. So we got like 3/4 of the garage done. And I was feeling a tad grumpy because we didn't get the whole thing done. And I'm like, great, there's more work. We're going to have to do another day. And I was like, and Jason's like, no, we got so much good stuff done in here. We worked hard. And now the next part's going to be easier because we did all this other work. So there's been a lot of times with the moving process of it feels like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So when I started packing our bedroom the other day, I spent like 6 hours. I did so much. But then, and I did so much. But you're taking stuff out of drawers. You're taking stuff out of like hidden places. So then I turn around and I'm like, I can barely walk through our room. This is insane. There's a box here you can't see. There's a box there. I've got multiple boxes down here of like pregnancy clothes that I need for later in pregnancy, postpartum clothes. I've got a box down here because I need to bring that into the RV. There's all these different like boxes that are going different places. And it's really easy to feel super overwhelmed in the process because does feel like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Oh, I got that packing done. And yet now I can't even walk through our room. And then I'm like, and then I need to do the laundry, and that mental load just starts like piling on. So with moving or taking on a really big project, we're going to make a plan. And then we need to get not to get discouraged in the process. Moving is just chaos. And that's okay. Our house is going to be chaos for the next 2 weeks. And that's okay. I need to work on not getting discouraged or kind of down in the dumps or poor me. I need to tell myself truth as we go through the process. That's what I've been doing daily. All right. Be clear on what's overwhelming you. Part of this is also being pregnant. You're pregnant and you got those like heightened emotions. So I can go so much more when I'm pregnant. I go from 0 to 60, or 60 to 0. I can just be like, today's great. We got the truck. We're doing this. I ordered paint for the RV. And then 10 minutes later, I'm like crying in the kitchen and Jason's like, what? And I'm like, everything's terrible. There's a lot going on. So it's like easier to get to that point anyway. But being pregnant, I am so much more like up and down, right? And so I have tried to get better at really communicating what's overwhelming to me and then trying to help Jason do that as well. Because Jason too has had plenty of moments where he's just like, and I'm like, what's wrong? I don't know. You just get like, oh. So we've been really trying to work on, okay, what specifically? So that's what Jason did today. He said, what specifically is feeling overwhelming to you? Let's make a list and we'll work backwards. And that's really helpful because a lot of times it does end up being those smaller things like, oh, well, I need to film a recipe in the kitchen, but the kitchen's a disaster. And then also the laundry is this, and then this and this and this. And then Jason's like, whoa. Okay. 2 of those things are a problem for right now. The rest can wait a couple hours. Okay. So why don't we go clean the kitchen? Oh, okay. That's like a really good plan. Oh, okay. That's the first thing to work on. So I've been really trying to be very clear on what exactly is overwhelming me, because part of it is just the emotion too of moving and all the things and, just all the things. And so it's really easy to get to that 0 to 60 moment really fast, to feel overwhelmed and then just feel like everything's terrible. Everything's bad. I don't know what to do. All of that kind of piling on at once. So be really clear, make a list. What is actually overwhelming? I was just not looking forward to today. When we kind of got home, made our list, I just felt like, oh, it's so much to do. I don't feel like doing it. I'm tired. Well, now I'm going to be honest with you guys. I had a little bit of a bad attitude about having to sit down and do my podcast. I didn't want to. Although I know every time I sit down, I love it and I enjoy it and I love getting to chat with you guys. And every time I get off, I'm like, yes, that was fun. I liked that. But I didn't want to. I didn't want to work on it. I didn't want to write it. I just did not want to do anything. Well, with 2 weeks left to moving, I don't have that option. We have things that need to get done. And so your attitude going into it makes a really, really, really big difference. And now that I'm halfway through this, I'm like, oh, okay, this was really not a big deal. I needed to take a chill, take a deep breath, drink some hot chocolate, which is what I did. I have this collagen hot chocolate that has 20 grams of protein and it always makes me feel better. I think I was low on food too. That's a big factor also. But be clear on what's overwhelming you. Be clear on a list of, what if there's people that can help and say, hey, Jason, I'm feeling so overwhelmed in this area. Could you help with this one thing? Or could you even can you go change the baby and put him down for a nap? That would actually be amazing at the moment. And really just be clear on what is overwhelming you. It's not actually everything in the world. So what is it that's overwhelming you? And then make a list. There's things that are overwhelming me today at the beginning of the day that I don't need to be overwhelmed by today. They're not stuff that is my problem for today. They're not stuff that I can even tackle or do today. And yet I'm sitting here letting it stress me out. And so making a list and being clear can definitely go a long way. All right, number 3, this is kind of more of an emotional one with your moving, is remember your why. Remember your why. When you can focus on your reason for moving, for benefits maybe that are coming, I think it can really help with the emotions. Now, sometimes it's not our choice to move. Sometimes we don't want to. It's not for good reasons. And so in those cases, we just have to trust the Lord. We have to trust the Lord that he does love us, that he knows what's best for us, that this is not our choice, not what we would want to do. And yet, God knows, and we can trust him in that process. Sometimes that's what you really need to just bottom line. I don't like any of this. I don't want any of this, but I can trust the Lord and I just need to be okay with that. Other times there's trade-offs. You're moving, like right now, overall, we're like 95% just excited. But there is a part of me that's like, it would have been so much easier just to stay in this house through having the baby. And yet we could have chosen that and we could have stayed here for a whole nother year. We didn't want that though. And doing the RV right now gets us much closer to our eventual end goals. And so while it's not going to be as easy to have the baby in the RV, and it would be more comfortable to stay in this house, I can also focus on the many positive things that are coming. The why behind why we're making this move is 100% worth it and is absolutely what our family needs to do for our next step. So we can have confidence in that and we can trust the Lord that even though we're taking on what is going to be a harder summer than we would have, we trust him in that process and we know our why behind the decision. And it helps me go, okay, I know our why, and so I'm going to choose to have a good attitude about this, even though I don't really want to be packing up this month, even though I'm hot and tired, even though it would be easier to stay in this house to have the baby. There's things there, and yet I can either give into it and complain and focus on all the negatives, or I can look at the positives of the situation and say, yes, there are some harder things this month. There's some harder things today because we chose to move out at the end of this month. However, I can focus on the positives instead and not be a victim to my circumstance. I can tell truth to myself and say, I am going to choose joy for today. And also to recognize this is what the Lord has for us this week. This is what the Lord has for me today. And I can either grumble, complain, have a poor attitude, be mopey, be a wretch, or I can choose joy and say, I'm going to have a good attitude for today. All right. Number 4. More practical. I'm like switching all around on you guys. Label. Over label everything. We have moved many times now in our marriage, and you always think, oh, I wrote kids' books on there. I'm going to know what those are. Well, are those the homeschool books? Are they the chapter books? Are they, over label your stuff. So I will even like write notes on myself because future me is not going to remember. Now, this is especially important for us too, because the vast majority of our stuff is going into storage. This is what we did when we moved out of California. We were on the road for 2 years. So the vast majority of our stuff was in storage for 2 years. So really 2 years later, you pull stuff out and you're like, I don't know what's in here. Where does this need to go? I have no idea. We had a couple boxes that were unlabeled because that move was fast. We had 9 days notice by the time our house sold, and we actually had to be out of the house. It was crazy. And I was 37 weeks pregnant then. So being 27 weeks, I really can't complain. But again, that was God's timing. And we were so thankful for that at the time. But we're doing this again where the vast majority of our stuff is going into storage for probably another 2 to 3 years. And so labeling stuff is your best friend. Over label what you think you're going to need. And then the last tip for moving is be liberal with throwing things away. This is your time to be able to clean things out. Now, I think this is easier for us because our stuff is going into storage. It's much easier to see the ROI. Do we really want to pay to store this for 2 to 3 years? Are we even going to want this? It's a lot easier to throw stuff away. I think it can be harder when you're just moving house to house because you're like literally just going to pack up and unbox it 2 days later. But it also is a really fantastic opportunity to be able to get rid of stuff. If you have not used it in the last 3 years, if you don't have a use for it in the next 3 months, get rid of it. Get rid of it. It's a really great time to be able to pare down, to simplify, to make things more organized, to make things more streamlined. And we have been getting rid of a lot, especially because we are paying for storage. And so we will not be paying for more than one storage unit. And so for a family of 9, almost 10, that's tough. We got to get things down into that one storage unit. So we have really been downsizing, which is amazing because we got rid of so much stuff when we left California. We had an even smaller pod we had to fit in. And I don't know how in 2.5 years we've accumulated so much stuff again, but that's what happens, right? So downsize, downsize, downsize. Moving is a fantastic time to be able to do that. It's a little bit easier to make the decisions. Okay. And then I've got 3 busy tips for you. When you're in a busy season, no matter what it is, number 1 is do not neglect your health. And this is really easy. And there are times, I know we're going to get to the very end of this month, probably our last 2 to 3 nights here. We may not get as much sleep. That's okay. We're going to do what needs to get done. But this whole month has been busy, and it's really easy to try to burn the candle at both ends. And you know what? Honestly, I'll say when I was in my early 20s, I could do that. And I did not have huge health consequences. I could burn the candle at both ends for a couple weeks and I'd be okay. And then you catch up on sleep. And there are seasons of your life where when you're younger, you can do that more. Being in our mid 30s now, we can't do that as much. We don't bounce back. We do not bounce back as well. So know yourself too, know your energy levels. I used to easily be able to get away with 5 or 6 hours of sleep and I was completely fine. I was kind of tired during the day, but I was completely fine. Now my hormones go out of whack. And I mean, I'm pregnant right now, but even Jason, he used to be able to do that so much more. You get older and you realize, no, I really need my sleep. So things like sleep, making sure you take your vitamins, getting good walking in, like really focusing on health. Jason's been doing great. He's got like a workout health goal or walking goal that he's been doing every single day. And he's been smashing it out of the park. And he has just been finding times. He's been getting up at like 6 a.m. to go do the walking before it gets hot. He'll take the other day, he's like, I'll go to Costco. And he walked several laps around Costco before getting the food because it was cool in there. I'm like, that's such a good idea. And Costco's huge. You can really hit your steps goal very easily at Costco. And, he's really been focusing on that because he doesn't want to lose momentum. And it's really easy in a very overwhelming month to just let everything else go. And then you feel miserable and you're not sleeping well and you have less energy. And so we've been really trying to focus just on a couple little things. It's not difficult, but making sure we're going to bed at a good time so that we can get up earlier. That's been working way better for us, and making sure we're taking our vitamins, just making sure we're getting some good, especially Jason and I getting good, well-rounded meals. The kids are happy if they eat pizza 3 nights in a row. Jason and I feel like we're going to die if we eat pizza 3 nights in a row, right? Like you need a little bit more. And I need more protein for sure right now. And so really just focusing on that has been helpful. And when you're in a really busy season or a busy month, we have in the past neglected our health because you're just so busy and there's so much to do. And it doesn't help. It makes you the opposite of productive. So make sure that you're not neglecting your health. It doesn't have to be a time where you're super focusing on it, but really making sure that you're just not neglecting that area. All right. The second thing that's been really helpful this month is I made a simple meal plan at the beginning of the month and then making sure that I'm sticking with it. So for us, we're eating really random foods right now because we're trying to eat through the rest of our freezer because we have a very small fridge and freezer we're going to be moving into and a very small pantry. So we've been eating like oddball recipes where I'm like, yep, this was a weird soup and I threw everything in it because it was stuff we had. But it's been really good because we're also on a super big budget right now. It would be really easy in a moving month like this to just eat out every meal. Like that'd be so much easier. But we don't have the budget for that. And we want to eat through the stuff that we have. And so I've been making just very simple meal plans. We've got a roast that's in the crock pot for today. I'm going to make some potatoes with it, just really simple meals that we can throw together. And yet I have to be organized with that because if I'm not organized, it's very easy to get to 5 o'clock because we've been so busy. We've been packing and moving and doing all this stuff. And it's very easy then to get to 5, 6 o'clock. I have no plan for dinner. We have to go get pizza. We have to get takeout, which is fine. But it goes against our goals that we're trying to really work on. And so if I can take 10 minutes out of my busy day, which I feel like I don't have, but if I can take 10 minutes to get that plan in place and say, what food do we need over the next 24 hours? It goes a really long way in just making the rest of life so much more simple. If we don't have to think about food because I put a little bit of pre-thought into it and got it planned, then we're great. In fact, right now, as I'm recording, Jason took the youngest two to, because they're the noisy ones, Jason took the youngest two to Costco, and he is getting a few things for this week just to make things simple. Make things simple so we're out of shredded cheese, some things like that to just make our meal plan simple, kind of put it on autopilot this week. So having it written out, having simple stuff, having easy things that the kids can grab. We just made a big batch of granola. We've got yogurt. We've got stuff that the kids can just kind of take and eat themselves. And that makes, for lunch, I can be like, you're on your own, snacky lunch, find something, and they can come up with stuff. They can make nachos. There's all kinds of things that they can do. And that really helps, just kind of having that plan in place beforehand and then being diligent to stick to it, which, you know what, is hard normally, let alone in a really busy month. All right. Then number 3, this is really, really, really important, especially if you're pregnant, is to build in small moments of rest throughout the day. So this is how I've been functioning, and it's been working very well for me, is I've been taking liberal times of rest. So I'm only 27 weeks. So like at this point, I guess I'll be 3rd trimester next week, huh? At this point though, like I can bend down, I can pick up, I can like move around. I'm not that gigantically big that I'm moving slow yet. And so I'm not in super pain. You know, I'm still in that 2nd trimester where I'm like, I can get things done. So I'm very, very thankful for that. Cause I think even by the time we move into the RV, I'm going to be feeling every day. I feel like I'm a little bit bigger. This baby is growing. And so at this point, I'm so thankful because there's still so much that I can do. When we moved, when I was 37 weeks, that was much harder. That was much more, 36, 37 weeks was when we did like the bulk of everything. And that was so much more exhausting. So I'm very thankful for that. But making sure that I'm managing my energy is very, very important too. So I'm really focusing on getting at least 100 grams of protein each day, which has been like absolutely life-changing in my diet with being pregnant. Making sure I have enough water for sure, because it's been hot. It's gonna be, I think, 92 again today, and it's humid. Taking my vitamins, making sure I'm doing that, and then having little rest points throughout the day. So I can get up, I can pack, I can cook, I can do a few things for a couple of hours, and then I sit down for 20 or 30 minutes. I get a drink, I sit down, or I make a collagen hot chocolate, something with protein, and I put my feet up and I'll read for 20 or 30 minutes. And I might do that a couple times a day. About half the time I take a nap in the afternoon, and it helps. Even though at the time it feels very counterproductive because you're like, I have so much to do. But taking little rests, even when you're not pregnant, for sure, taking little rests can be very helpful. As long as that rest doesn't turn into 2 hours on the couch scrolling, you know what I'm talking about? But sit down for a few minutes, put your feet up, get a little bit of rest, eat something, take a little bit of time has been really helpful. And then Jason and I are making sure that we try to have at least a little bit of time at the end of the night to kind of unwind. As we get towards the end of this month, some of that time is probably going to disappear as we're just packing and getting everything done. But really, you know, building in that rest time, making sure that Sundays are still restful, that we're not neglecting church, that we're still, you know, doing those things that are very important is what makes the busy, busy, busy month a lot more bearable. Okay, so those are my tips for you. I know we were kind of all over the place, but these were the things that were just really on my mind as I've been going through just the ups and downs of this month and emotionally regulating everything and physically regulating everything. So if you guys have any tips, I would love to hear it. There's so many more things that you can do. People always ask me for moving tips, I guess, because we've done it a lot. And I'm just always like, I don't know, you buy a bunch of boxes and you throw everything in. I don't have some wonderful type A amazing system. I'm not type A. I am 100% type B, which always surprises people. People for some reason think I'm very type A. I am not. Any organization that I have in my life, I have fought very hard to establish. And I fight hard to maintain. I am not a type A. So I don't have some like incredible system, but you get a bunch of boxes and you throw things in. People say, how do you decide what to keep and what? I'm like, I don't know. You look at the item and make a decision. I do think a lot of it, though, really is it's less about a system and it's more about making decisions. And I think that's the hard part a lot of times is to be able to go through your closet and not get paralyzed. I just did this the other day. sold a bunch of dresses actually on Instagram. But it's really easy to, look at all your closet and say, I want to pare down. I want to pack. I need to decide what's long-term storage, what's coming in the RV with me. It's really easy to sit there and just get so paralyzed and overwhelmed. But you just have to make a decision. You got to start and pick up the first dress. If you're not sure, try it on and then make a decision. That's so much to me. That's what moving is just making small little decisions. So Jason was going to start in the garage, and there's obviously a bunch of stuff in there that's his stuff, tools and stuff, but we have a ton of storage, even from California, that never got unpacked. And there's so much in there that Jason's like, I can't make these decisions. And he was a little bit paralyzed, and he's like, what do we do? And I said, we start with the first box. You open it and you start making decisions. And so once you start and get in the rhythm, it was fine. But it was getting started that it took us half an hour to really get started, because we both were a little bit this is a lot. Yeah, it's a lot, but take one item at a time, one box at a time, one decision at a time, and you slowly can move through it. All right, so that's it. Don't forget that we have our summer camps for kids coming up. We've got our first one, Cooking School for Kids, June 17th through the 21st, I think. Once each lesson goes live, you're going to be able to watch it forever. It'll just live on the website. And so you are able to just come join us. We've got Cooking School for Kids, and then the last week of June is going to be Baking School for Kids. I'm such a baker that I'm very much looking forward to that one. We're going to teach your kids how to bake really simple bread. It's going to be so much fun. So we've got that coming up as well. You can find it all at findingjoyinyourhome.com/2000. No, that is the link for the conference. I get in autopilot mode. findingjoyinyourhome.com/summercamp. findingjoyinyourhome.com/summercamp, all one word. If you use coupon code SUMMERCAMP, then you can get 20% off either your monthly or your annual subscription. The annual subscription gives you, the annual subscription's already 2 months free, plus you get 20% on top of that. So it makes it $8 a month to join. We have audiobooks in there for kids. And then it's not just a kids app. We have stuff for families. So tons and tons of stuff for women. We have a learn how to brew kombucha course, how to can, spiritual encouragement, book reviews. And then we also have a growing library of classic books and men's books that Jason's going to be focusing on really the last part of this year. So really resources for the whole family. Everybody in the family can log in and access at the same time. You don't need an account per person. It's cross-platform. So you can access it on your Apple app. Your husband can access it on his Android app. Your kids can view on the web or on their iPad app. It is very versatile. With one family login, you can do all of that, which is really, really exciting. All right, go check it out. findingjoyinyourhome.com/summercamp. And we will see you guys back here next week for the next episode.